33C Meet the Candidate Night hosted by our district PTO. On behalf of myself, Chancey, Carrie, and our PTOs, thank you for joining us, and thank you Cross of Glory Church for allowing us to host our event here tonight. My name is Jen Ivey. My youngest child is an 8th grader at Homer Junior High, and I'm on the Homer Junior High PTO board. As you know, our Homer School District has approximately 3,600 students pre-K through 8th grade at 6 different schools, led by the mission to provide a high-quality education to prepare and empower students for success in a dynamic world. We are joined this evening by 6 candidates running for our Homer 33C School Board, where there are 3 positions up for election. This evening's event will last approximately 90 minutes. I would like to point out this event is not a debate, but an informational forum to learn more about each of the candidates. We will start with a brief introduction from each candidate. Next will be a rapid-fire round of yes and no questions. I will ask a question and candidates will move along the panel answering yes or no or pass if they feel they do not want to answer. Explanations are not needed during this time. After, the candidates will answer a list of questions in a 2-minute time slot. These questions were previously sent and will be given in a round-robin format. The first question starts with Elizabeth and moves along down the table. The second question begins with Nicholas, and so on. Finally, the candidates will answer questions from the audience. When you entered, you should have been given a card to write a question on. Muriel will collect those cards and we will present them later to our candidates. If you did not receive a card, please raise your hand and we will make sure you get one. Mary Gliwa, sitting in the front row, will be timing responses and hold up a 30-second warning sign. Please be respectful of the time limits to keep us on track for the evening. Let's get the event moving along. Elizabeth, will you please start us off by introducing yourself and we will continue along the table.
Thank you very much. This is working just fine. I'd like to thank the PTO and the Cross of Glory Church for hosting this event. My name is Elizabeth Hitzman and I'm a retired educator from 33C, a Homer resident since 1977, parent of District 33C graduates, and a Homer School Board member since 2015. My husband is a retired manufacturing engineer. I have 2 adult daughters that earn dual degrees in the field of education and the other in architectural and structural engineering. I graduated from the University of Illinois with a BA in education and 63 hours postgraduate study in the fields of technology and education. I was a recipient of the Teacher Recognition Award from the Give Something Back Foundation. And before teaching, I managed multiple departments for Bell & Howell Home Study Division in Chicago.
Hi, my name is Nick Koloniadis. First, thank you all for coming out. Thank you to the church for hosting us and having us. And special thanks to the PTO for organizing this. And whatever happens tonight, guys, best of luck. Moving forward. We've moved here 13 years ago, my wife and I. We have 2 beautiful children. My son is in 7th grade in Homer Junior High, and my daughter is in 4th grade in Schilling. I've been a teacher. This is my 21st year. I teach high school science. My wife has been teaching 3rd grade for 16 years, so a lot of education background. Love the schools. I think the knowledge between my wife in the elementary schools and myself in the high schools will be very good with making decisions coming up in the near future.
Hi, my name is Debbie Martin, and I have lived in Homer for over 30 years. I have 4 children that have come up through the grade schools and graduated from Lockport High School. I am married. I am a teacher in imagining you guys are all fourth graders right now. It's my best clientele. I'm looking forward to and would be honored to serve on the Homer board again. I have first began my volunteer experience as an art mom, which we've been hearing a lot about lately. I coordinated the art program at Goodings Grove before I ran for the first time on the board and have been dedicated ever since. And again, I look forward to serving in the future.
Hello, how are you today? My name is David Ondiak. I'm a resident of Homer Glen for the last 19 years. And it's an honor, to be honest to you, to be part of this forum because Homer Glen is a great place to live. Now, with that being said, I have 3 children, two stepchildren, and my son, who is 19 years old, but they all graduated from Lockport High School. My youngest son went through Homer Glen 33C up through high school. So my background is, I've been in the business world for more than 25 years, and my focus has been in engineering. I wasn't an engineer by education. I got a business degree with a marketing focus from SIU Carbondale. But as things progressed, I ended up working in the engineering community, and it was a great opportunity. Sold CAD/CAM, sold engineering software to multiple disciplines, civil, architectural, mechanical. It was exciting. And then moved on to voice recognition technology, then ultimately ended up in 3D printing. So it's been quite a road that I went down, and it's an honor for me, and thank you, Cross of Glory, for allowing me to be part of this discussion today. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Chris Traciak. Let's see, I've been a resident of Homer Glen for just about 8 years. I moved here with my wife, who is a teacher. She works in a different school district. I have 2 children. One is a current student of Homer Glen 33C, and she attends Young School. My other one is not old enough yet. She will be a student next year. Brief background would be professionally, I work in financial services for a large financial institution. I focus on risk management. My graduate degree is from the University of Chicago. I have a degree, a Master of Science in Risk Management. My undergraduate was from St. Xavier University. I have a Bachelor's in Business Administration. This is the second school board that I've been a part of. Previous to Homer 33C, when I was a resident of Evergreen Park District 231, I was on the Evergreen Park High School District 231 school board for 2 terms. And it was an honor and a pleasure to serve there. When we moved here, and then my kids became, school elementary age, I decided to get involved here. And I've been on this board for the last 4 years, and it's been a difficult couple of years, but it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I have enjoyed living in Homer Glen. It's a great place to live, like others have said. One of the primary reasons that we moved here was because we wanted to make sure our kids were going to good schools, and Homer Glen 33C certainly has delivered on that promise. And so it'd be a real pleasure and an honor to continue to be a part of this school board, so I would certainly appreciate anyone's support. And I forgot to say, first of all, thank you, of course, for everyone for being here. Thank you to the church for hosting and for the PTO for organizing. So, thank you all.
Hello. I will thank the PTO also, the Cross of Glory Church, for having us here today, and everybody for coming out. We appreciate it. Getting some information before the election is definitely one of the most important things you can do before the election. My name is Lawrence Vicala, Larry Vicala, as everyone else knows me. I lived in Homer Glen for about 19 years now. Me and my wife moved here in 2004. We raised 2 kids here. I got a 5th grader and an 8th grader. He's moving on to high school next year, but my 5th grader will still be involved in schools. I'm a 23-year law enforcement professional. I'm a lieutenant on the Downers Grove Police Department. I was looking for an avenue to serve my community here in Homer Glen, and it seemed like the school board was the best avenue for me with the kids being in the school district. And like I said, we love the school district, we love the teachers, we love the experiences we've had here. I want to be able to get involved and continue that experience that we've had here in Homer Glen. My education background, I have an associate degree in criminal justice. I returned to school in 2007 to get my bachelor's degree from Benedictine University of Business Management. And like I said, I currently just got promoted to lieutenant, so new experience at the police department. And like I said, I'm just looking for an avenue to serve my community. Thank you.
Thank you all for providing your introductions. Next, we're going to move on to our rapid fire questions. Before we start with those, does anybody have other questions on cards that they want us to collect? Or does anybody need a card still, or no? So like I said, you can answer yes, no, or you can pass on the question, but we do not want any explanations at this time. The questions are pretty simple. We'll just go down the line. First question is, have you met with current board members to familiarize yourself about the responsibilities of this position? Yeah.
Yes.
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 Have you met with a member of administration to learn more about the district?
Yes.
Just now.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever volunteered in any of our district buildings?
Yes.
No, my wife.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you attended any school board meetings in person?
Yes.
We know 3 of them have.
All version.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Do you find it difficult to obtain information from the district?
No.
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 Do you feel schools should be run the same way a profitable business is run?
No.
Pause.
No.
No.
Do you feel that 33C should have a paid art teacher in each building?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
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 Okay, and lastly, do you think politics have a place within the school board?
No.
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 Okay, thank you all very much. Okay, next we're going to start with the questions that the candidates were all sent previously that they've been able to prepare answers for. Once again, there's a 2-minute time limit. Mary in the front row will hold up a 30-second sign. Once the 2 minutes is up, we are just going to motion for the next person to go along. Elizabeth will start with the first question. When I read the second question, then Nicholas can start, and so on. Question number 1. How would you balance your decisions as a member of the board with the input of all constituents?
The board has a responsibility to hear from all constituents. There are many different ways that occurs. Our planning for the 21-25 strategic goals included all current stakeholders and a few former Homer students. Other input includes public comments during board meetings, surveys from parents, teachers, and parent input on our handbooks, teacher input from their DLT and SLT committee groups, and board emails. Input from constituents sometimes prompts what the board considers. As an active board member, I've been a proponent of constituent issues and have addressed them for discussion at board meetings. Most recently, the board responded to constituent input regarding the need for an art program in the elementary buildings. The board agreed to the formation of a committee that will include parents, to discuss the implementation and expansion of an art program for our 4 elementary schools. At times, decisions are made using constituent input and are considered, but not all matters are accepted by the whole board. Other decisions are made by taking input into consideration and balancing the need with district's financial resources. Decisions on issues are outside the individual board member's role and authority. We all speak our opinion and then achieve consensus. The board can only make decisions as a group called the voice of one. More often than not, there have been 2 opposing sides to an issue. There are sensitive issues that require the board to respect confidentiality of privileged information. These issues would not be prudent or legal for the board to express. Board members are listening and observing. We make visitations to classrooms and district events. We serve on many district committees. We celebrate student accomplishments and share those observations with our administration. All constituents should understand that the board hears all concerns and makes decisions in the best interests of Homer 33C students. Did I do
You
okay?
did it.
Okay.
Just a forewarning for some of these questions, I'm going to have to speak really fast to get into the 2 minutes. So I don't normally speak this fast, but just giving you all a heads up right now. Whether you have kids attending schools in the district or not, we all share a common goal. All constituents want the best schools possible. That is where we are a united front. A lot of tax money goes into funding our schools, and the quality of schools play a huge part in our property values. All right, it's going to be my job, the board's job, to get input from all the constituents, and I promise I will make decisions that I feel best for our students, teachers, and for our community.
I have always taken into account what our constituents need or are asking for. First and foremost, keeping good lines of communication will let others know that you are working hard to ensure important initiatives and changes are being made or studied for the best of the district. It is important to look at the big picture and listen to the facts from those involved that are knowledgeable or passionate. Just recently, and certainly not the first time, Homer 33C is taking a look at adding certified art teachers for elementary students. Fortunately, we have heard and listened to many opinions and information about this topic. As a board member, I encourage those respectful comments. These comments or opinions are never taken lightly, nor does it become a closed subject. As a board member, I look at all the pros and cons. Sometimes we have to move forward with a different plan as an initial starting point and delve deeper by creating a group to study and determine what changes can be made in the future for greater success. However, I always remember the ultimate goal is to achieve what is best for all students. My thoughts focus on this question: what do the students need?
So when I first looked at this question, I took it from the perspective of what would an engineer do? And I categorized the challenge from a product lifecycle management perspective. The product is the education. The life cycle is the time that the children are being taught, and the management is the administration support staff, the teachers, the coaches, the people that are going to be part of the big picture of engaging and teaching our young children the best possible curriculum through the course of their 8 years at Homer Glen 33C. I'm really excited about taking that approach because it puts onus on the management, it puts onus on the teachers, and it engages the the parents and the stakeholders that have their tax dollars on the line. It's a big picture approach. It's a process approach, and I want to do the best I can, and I'm excited about the opportunity to take the opportunity to speak to and advance 33C. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and it is an essential part of serving as any kind of board member or elected official in any position, right? I mean, we have to be active listeners. That's, I think, the key word, active listening. There's always going to be voices, and there's always going to be two sides, or more sometimes, to every issue that we have to deal with. But I think it's important that we keep those chains of communication open. Those channels have to be open. People have to feel like they're being heard. They have to find that there are avenues that they can constructively, contribute to what decisions the school is making. And it's a feedback loop. We have to get information back to the community so that they are aware of what decisions are being made. The board operates transparently by design. It's not always easy, but it's a process. And I think the board's responsibility is to create those avenues. We need to look for ways to solicit that feedback, especially from the voices that aren't as loud. And I think the most important question, and I'm really glad that I think I've heard almost everyone say this in some form or fashion, is we have to always get back to our why. And we may disagree as adults about a lot of things, but I think everybody in this community is in 100% agreement that we want what is best for our kids. That's the question we have to ask about every decision we make, and it helps kind of serve as my personal guiding post when I need to make decisions for the school. I think about my own children, I think about my friends and their neighbors and all the people in this community's children, and we try to act in their best interest. So, I think that listening and bringing it back to why we're here.
So the question was, how does the board balance their decisions with the decisions based on their constituents in the community? So all decisions have to be balanced to include the interests of parents, students, staff, and community. First and foremost, our greatest gifts are our children, and all decisions should be based with that in mind. So to give our kids the best possible education, the board should give our kids the best possible teachers, which means attracting the best possible candidates, as well as retaining the best possible teachers that we have in the district. We should have clear expectations to the parents and students about what is expected of them in the district. We as a board should be fiscally responsible in our decisions because ultimately we have to answer to the taxpayers of the community, some of which don't even have kids in the school system anymore. We need to provide a safe and secure learning environment for our children so they aren't afraid to go to school, so the parents aren't worried at all about sending their kids off to school on a given day. We need to listen to what the parents have to say, accept their input, and learn from them. Communicate clearly why a decision is being made and why we're making that decision in the school board. Ultimately, it's the board's responsibility to keep our district as desirable as possible, not only for our schools, but for the community itself. This is what attracted our family in the first place to Homer Glen, was the school district. And it's the board's job to maintain the quality and service for our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Okay, question number 2, we're going to start with Nicholas on this one. What are the 2 most important issues facing Homer 33C in the coming 4 years? How would you recommend the board address these issues?
I can't tell the future, but I'm going to be honest with the first issue, and this is what prompted me to run for board. And I'm not pointing any fingers or blaming anybody, but I would have handled the COVID situation differently. I helped fund the DeVore case because I always thought ISB and Pritzker overstepped their authority, and that was later proven in a court of law. That being said, last month CDC came out with guidelines for children immunization, recommended immunization. Okay, I'm not going to let the governor hide behind these recommendations like he did with the masks. Okay, when I'm on board, I will not sit idly by that, and I will voice my opinion, what I think is best. doctors are going to make the best decision for their kids, not us. That is why. The next one, and this is a big one, and I don't know if people realize this, is the teacher shortage in the near future. Graduation for education is at an all-time low number. What are we doing to retain our teachers? What are we doing to attract new teachers? We need to really start thinking outside the box. The teachers in the school are unbelievable. Let's keep them here, and let's attract phenomenal teachers as well. My son is a student at Homer Junior High, really wants to take the applied tech course. All right, do we have a teacher to fill that role? Do we have a number of candidates to come so we can get the best teacher in there? Okay, we lost several teachers last year. All right, monetary reasons was the number one reason. So, you know, attracting teachers, attracting the best teachers to come and stay in this district is a problem that I foresee and think that we need to address.
One important issue facing Homer 33C is overcrowding. One way to address this issue has been to create a grade center model at our K-4 buildings. This is just a piece of the puzzle to alleviate overcrowding. Not only will this grade center concept solve part of the overcrowding issues, but it will also enable staff members to easily collaborate within grade levels, as well as foster consistency throughout the district. With that need being met in elementary buildings, there is also a need for added space at Hadley Middle School and Homer Junior High. The district has worked on plans for a campus connection in order to create the added flexible space that is necessary for our students and staff. This was a long undertaking, but is still underway. There has been involvement from many stakeholders. I am committed to the grade centers for the school year 2023-24 and campus connection breaking ground in 2024. Another important issue continuing to face Homer 33C are those arising since COVID. There continues to be academic learning gaps, concern for social, emotional, and behavioral health. I will advocate for continued support of student learning gaps by a summer program which is funded by ESSER funds. Also, approving additional academic support is needed with reading and math interventions. Homer 33C is beginning to see success with these students reaching their academic goals. This will be monitored through principal quarterly data reports. On the topic of SEL, Second Step is complemented with a new implementation of the DESA screener. I fully support Second Step and the DESA screener to help students and staff gain success. Students thrive in an environment with effective social, emotional, and behavioral support. I will continue to advocate for additional support to reach overall success, as well as being open-minded as the order of importance may change based on the needs of our community.
One of the issues that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and certainly other people have already spoken about it, was the COVID and the implementation of the shots, or the speaking of taking a shot, as well as wearing the mask. I don't know if you know this, or do you know, the CDC has yet to approve the vaccine or the shot. To this day, they have yet to approve the shot. So why are we imposing anybody at this level to receive a shot? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. The mask, I don't think, well, it didn't add anything to the learning aspect of the children. And that's what this is all about. It's about how the teachers and the students receive their instructions. It's about the learning of the curriculum. When you have a mask on, it impedes the ability for the teacher and the student to communicate with each other visually. It's unacceptable behavior in a class setting. This is about the students. This is about the teachers being able to teach, and it's about the parents being able to communicate to their kids what happened in the course of the day. It's absurd what happened, and I'm against and won't stand for this type of behavior going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, top issues. You know, we have some serious issues, that's for sure. I would say space is definitely one of them, and I would put that at the very top of the list. You know, if you walk through our buildings and you visit our schools, especially if you see them during the day, you're going to see a lot of creative use of facilities, let's call it. We have teachers in more than a few spaces that are teaching from carts. We have teachers that are using hallways. We have closets that have been converted into offices. Do I think that our team, our teachers, our staff, our administrators have tried to do a more than fantastic job utilizing the existing resources that we have? Absolutely. But there's just a point where you just can't fit any more into the box, and we have passed that point some time ago. And I'm going to go back to what I said in the previous statement, that if our number one focus, at least my number one priority, is what's best for the kids, you know, having them in classrooms that are purpose-built for what they're there to learn. If it's an art classroom, it needs to be an art room. If it's a music class, it needs to be in a music room. If it's a science class, it needs to be in a science room. You know, making that a reality is absolutely my vision for the district, and I think we put some things in motion that are going to help for sure alleviate some of the space issues. The grade center model is one of them. The construction project at the junior high and the middle school is another. These are big things that are necessary to kind of get us where we need to be. And will those solve our problem completely? No, the answer is they will not. But they are the right steps to dealing with, I think, one of the biggest issues facing our schools. And that overcrowding issue also results in larger class sizes, which is something we fought very hard to try to prevent. And then I'm running out of time. Academic achievement, absolutely. It would be remiss for me to say that's not a priority. You know, everything that we do, facilities, everything comes back to getting our kids to succeed.
Okay, we're all done and we need to move on, sorry.
So the two most important issues in my mind are, first and foremost, we do need to address the overcrowding issue, as previous candidates have stated. Secondly, security in my mind is always going to remain an issue in the schools. Overcrowding is going to become a balancing act, as our school district is primarily funded by real estate taxes. Whether we see it if the grade center model works or not is going to be yet to be determined. At some point, new facilities or buildings may need to be approached as we continue to develop new subdivisions within our district. Teachers can't continue to have more and more students in their classroom and think that we are going to continue to have academic success amongst our children. We have already witnessed a decline in academic achievement as a result of remote learning during COVID. We can't continue to ask our teachers to take on the burden of even more students. The district will ultimately suffer, and so will our community as a result. Security remains a concern as we all continue to witness incidents in our schools, weapons being brought into our schools, school shootings nationwide. I have a unique perspective on this, being a law enforcement professional. This doesn't stop at the schools themselves. We need to secure our buses as well, school events, sporting events, etc. The district has explored adding a school resource officer to the middle school and junior high. That is certainly a step in the right direction, but is ultimately just a presence that we hope to deter bad behavior. The safe learning environment doesn't end at that extreme. Deans and administrators need to limit the disruptions in the classroom so our kids can learn accordingly. Education programs should continue and professionals brought in to educate our kids about the dangers of drugs in our schools and alcohol. The drug aspect is no longer about kids experimenting. It could be life or death with the fentanyl crisis going on. If alcohol is a problem in school, a simple solution is, guess what? The kids don't bring water bottles to school. I remember back in the day, I never came home from school completely dehydrated. I thought I was going to die. So at that point, only sealed store-bought containers should be brought in. These are simple solutions to solve simple problems. Thank you.
My colleagues on the board have really talked basically what I was talking about, but I'm going to reiterate this because it is an important issue. The classroom space and growth continues to be one of board is dealing with. Our administration has been proactive with the board, taking steps to expand classroom space in our elementary buildings. And as my colleagues have said, we are moving to grade centers this 23-24 school year. It'll help equalize our class sizes, it'll consolidate our grade levels, and not only that, we're trying to make it as seamless as possible. Boundaries were unchanged, students will be transported with their peers, they will move up to the grade buildings with their peers. We also have the critical need, as was just spoken about, with the space for our Hadley and Homer Junior High buildings. We have teachers teaching from cars, moving from one classroom to another. That's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. We have developed architectural plans to connect and expand the two buildings, and we're evaluating the cost of the project, and we'll be considering our funding options. Academic achievement is always our priority. The Illinois State Board of Education has identified 5 out of 6 Homer schools as commendable, which means no underperforming student groups, and 1 school as exemplary in the top 10% of the state. This is great, but we strive to improve. After the pandemic, some students are experiencing social, emotional, and academic setbacks. The district monitors those gaps and sets goals for improvement. Using government ESSER and district funds, we provided additional resources to help those struggling students. The board will continue to address these and other important issues affecting our students.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, candidates. We're going to move on to question number 3, and we'll start with Deb. What does being a supporter of public education mean to you?
As a school board member, community member, and an educator, I believe that supporting public education means creating and retaining a cohesive culture between all stakeholders. This can be done by recruiting, hiring, and retaining high-quality leadership and staff. I will support and advocate for the staff, students, and community of Homer 33C. In March of 2021, the Board of Education approved the 2021 through 26 District Strategic Plan. The strategic plan was created by representation from all stakeholders. If I am re-elected by the people of this community, I will continue to represent the values, views, and desires for our school district as set in the strategic plan. As a district leader, I will continue to support public education by being collaborative with other board members, as well as being approachable, flexible, and open-minded to the needs of the public education in our community.
Public education is where the community starts. This is our core. These are the kids that we're bringing up in the community that are being taught by our educators. This is the groundswell of education that goes forward through the curriculum. It's important that these kids are all taught appropriately so they understand the goal that is to be met going further. We are the building blocks. Public education is the building blocks for their next steps in life. We want these kids to succeed. We love these kids. We want them to have a harmonious experience from a public education perspective. We want them to succeed. Thank you.
I absolutely echo that. I think public education it's a fundamental cornerstone of American democracy. You have to have a well-educated, well-informed populace so that they can participate in government, make decisions. And ultimately, right, the goal is for young people to grow up and take over these positions, take over leadership positions. And so we have the highest obligation, I think, as school board members to advocate not only for our own community's public education, but just for public education in general. We're blessed. We live in a good community, and we all work hard to keep this community what it is. It's not free. But at the same time, it's, public education and access to it is not a guarantee for a lot of kids. It's absolutely not. There are many kids who don't have access to great public schools. And, that I think is an obligation that we as board members have just at large to just support the need for public education. It's, like you said, it's a building block that kids can make something of themselves, and they can decide what they want to do with their lives, and we have to give them that potential. And I guess the last thing I would say is it also involves advocating with the states, with the federal level. That is a voice that has to be heard. There's lots of requirements and mandates and things that will come down from the state and federal levels, but in order to make those things happen, board members have to advocate for them. We try to be informed and we stay on top of the legislative changes that are going on. So, we have the obligation to share that information and to advocate for what's best for our schools.
I think being a supporter of the public school system ultimately starts at home with the parents. It is the parents' responsibility to make sure our kids are prepared and ready for school each and every day. When they arrive at school, we should make sure we have the best possible teachers to teach our children when they get there. The teachers should be supported by the parents and work hand in hand, communicating both ways to find out what is the best avenue for success for our children. Our parents need to be afforded every opportunity to help out and volunteer, and they should do that in whatever capacity they can offer. Financially, we already contribute to the schools with our property taxes in the community. It is the board's responsibility to spend the money responsibly. This may mean paying our teachers more in certain fiscal years and putting out particular building improvements that may be unnecessary or put off buying fancy office equipment. Ultimately, our teachers and administrators are the most important aspect of our children's education, not building a fancy office or building a fancy building. Financially, we also added supporting school fundraisers to make sure our kids have fun events, band equipment, support extracurricular activities outside of school hours, etc. Pointing out the faults of the district and how they can improve is also a parent's job. More and more it appears that the parents are being left behind and left out of that decision making. We need to shift the focus back to listening to the parents and to all stakeholders in the community and determining what is best for our children, not just what the board thinks. Thank you.
I've been active in public education for most of my life as a student, teacher, board member. Supporting public education means advocating for every student, no matter their background, by providing equitable educational opportunities. Students should have the opportunity to learn, explore interests, and find their passion for learning so they can be productive and engaged members of society while achieving their goals. Hopefully, they're inspired to be lifelong learners. I took this question personally in my life in public education. As a very young first-generation American student, I learned the English language. I was born in England, and my first language was Polish. The teachers inspired and encouraged me and supported me throughout my education. Ja mówię po polsku, ale nie tak dobrze. Okay? They did such a great job that my Polish is really, really bad now. Teaching and education eventually became my path in life. As a former Homer 33C teacher, I advocated for my students, and both the board and administration always supported my efforts. I was fortunate that the administration valued my input. When I was a science teacher, they supported my requests, especially for advanced science equipment. Hands-on education helped all students, but especially those that struggled to get those aha light bulb moments. Those moments showed they understood the concepts they were learning. As a Homer 33C board member, I support public education by helping to provide access to resources, qualified, dedicated, and caring teachers, a welcome atmosphere for parental involvement and acceptance of students no matter their background, support efforts for improved academic achievement. All of our students in 33C deserve these opportunities. Thank you.
I'm going to answer this one as a parent of two kids, beautiful kids. Because of the changes to to the climate of public education. Each year, my wife and I consider moving our children from public schools and having them attend a private school. We don't though, because of the wonderful teachers our kids have had. Ms. Novak, Ohatsky, Rakuziak, McNulty, Walker, Patel, Mr. Mitchell, the list goes on and on. These teachers have played a pivotal and monumental role in my child's life. I hope they're watching, and I hope they hear this, and I hope they get this message. Those people are the sole reason why I support public education for my children.
Thank you, candidates. Move on to question number 4, and David will be the first one to answer this round. Which of the Homer 33C strategic goals are most important to you, and please explain why?
Two of the goals that I read on the strategic goals, one of them was social and emotional. Social emotional is a big issue because it's a family thing that we had to deal with. My young son had many challenges that had to be dealt with because of social emotional issues. The ability to speak, the ability to communicate, the ability to just have a conversation. Those issues have to be addressed at this level for him to go to the next step. It's a real challenge to try to speak to somebody that doesn't want to speak to you. It's a real challenge that when he comes home, he just doesn't want to engage. The last 2 years were difficult for everybody, but we got to address the social emotional issues in a kind and loving way, because these are our kids. We want them to have the ability to go forward from an educational perspective, but we want to address their social emotional issues that they're dealing with right now. The other issue that we want to retain, excuse me, lost my train of thought. We want to be able to retain the staff that is going to support those kids so that you can address their social emotional issues. We want those teachers to do the best they can and give them all the resources that they need to help the kids go to the next level in 33C.
Well, I had the privilege of actually participating in the strategic planning process, and it was a long and arduous process, and we had a lot of people from all different stakeholder groups participate, and hearing everybody's thoughts and opinions, and we went back and forth on these goals, and it took months. And actually, we had to pause and bring it and circle back to it, which was really a challenge. But the process itself, was really positive, and it reminded me again what's important. And that's kind of why goal number 1 is probably the one that I would pick first. Really, goal number 1, it's goal number 1 for a reason. It's about student achievement and academic success. When you really think about all the other stuff we do, all of it, retaining teachers, absolutely, working with the community, absolutely. All the other goals, facilities, technology, all these things, really the ultimate goal is we are most concerned with the well-being and the academic success of all of our students. And I think that the second one that I would probably pick is really important, especially now, is strengthening our family and community partnerships. It's no secret that it's been a challenging couple of years. A lot of families have gone through a lot of hardship for a lot of different reasons, and the school community only works when it's a community. Absolutely, we need parent involvement, we need family involvement. There's got to be a lot of communication and engagement, and I think everybody knows the more engaged that parents are with their kids' education and the whole process, not just in-school education, but the whole process, those kids are they're so much more successful. So it takes a school community, and I think that strengthening these partnerships is a key priority for us.
All right, so the goal I identified, the most important goal to me is goal number 4. As mentioned, it's the family and community goal. As you can tell, I'm a pretty family-oriented guy, so that's kind of the theme of my answers here. So the goal aims to strengthen family and community partnerships to support the district's vision. Education, as I stated before, starts at home with the parents. The parents need to be included in all decisions related to their children, from curriculum to healthcare decisions. Parents not only need to be included, but there needs to be transparency and two-way dialogue between all parties involved. I feel that the board needs to offer parents an informal venue to express any concerns they may have. The meet and greets that candidates conduct during election season should not end once they're elected. It takes a lot of courage to speak publicly at school board meetings, and oftentimes parents are reluctant because of the social media bashing they may take. I believe that the school board members should offer a less formal event every once in a while with parents without a public audience. This goes for school administrators as well. For example, a coffee with the school board event would go a long way with the community. The public school system should not be in the business of raising our children. This should be a unique partnership. The parents should be allowed to question the administration and the school board without ridicule and be actually listened to. Political bias and beliefs of the teachers should also not be brought into our classrooms. Ultimately, the success in education starts and ends at home. The parents that don't subscribe to this philosophy or are too busy to get involved are not giving their children the best opportunity to succeed in the public school system.
As far as the strategic goals go, I feel there is not one goal that's the most important. Student achievement is the end goal, but this cannot happen without the other goals. All the goals must work in concert with one another. The strategic plan goals consist of student achievement, learning environment, professional environment, family and community, and resources. The goals are future-focused and involve all stakeholders. The student achievement goal aims to increase the number of students demonstrating academic growth and improvement, as well as reduce achievement gaps among student subgroups. This occurs when students feel engaged by the curriculum and feel safe and welcome in their learning environment, which is conducive to learning. Another goal is to ensure that curriculum assessment and instructional research-based practices are consistently implemented by our educators. Teachers must know they are valued so they can concentrate on their efforts to use best instructional practices. We need to make certain we hire and retain the most qualified educators. Parents' input and involvement also leads to higher student achievement, which can increase their child's social and emotional well-being. Community support and partnerships will help students build strong relationships that will benefit their learning. As an educator, I've seen firsthand how using all our resources, including teachers, parents, community support, and quality instructional materials, greatly facilitates the learning experience and academic success. With this synergy of goals, students become confident, accomplished, and feel empowered by their achievements. It is the board's responsibility that all the goals are executed.
I chose goal 1, I'm going to read it. Empower all students for academic success. Increase the number of students demonstrating growth and improvement academically. I'm a teacher. This is my everyday. This is the most important one. Our students were powerless for the past 3 years due to our approach on handling the pandemic. So now they are faced with a learning deficit that was created because of this. Okay? I'm going to read the goal again. Increase the number of students demonstrating growth and improvement academically. This was the easy part. Putting the goal down is easy. How are we going to tackle this goal and achieve the goal? This is what we need to focus on doing moving forward.
I am heavily invested in ensuring a high-quality education for all the students of Homer 33C. So, goal 1, student achievement, is the most important to me. I believe that we have a high-quality group of leaders, teachers, and support staff. Those are important components to empower all students for academic success. With the approval of the strategic plan in March of 2021, as a district, we're continuing to focus on Goal 1, among others. In the district, we support high levels of teaching. We're able to back that up with support for our instructional staff through hands-on professional development, instructional coaches, interventionists, and a clear focus on the implementation of Clarity for Learning. Achievement motivates and inspires students to empower themselves for academic success. Student achievement is not only an important outcome for students in the classroom, but it also plays a role for students beyond their report card or their test scores. Achievement gives a student a sense of accomplishment and is important in their development of a positive well-being over their entire lifetime.
Thank you, candidates. Okay, moving on to question number 5, and we will start with Chris on this one. Homer 33C works hard to ensure students are future ready. How do you plan to support teachers in achieving this goal?
Yep, thanks for the question. Well, I guess, look, the first thing I would say is the number one thing that affects student outcome is the teacher in the classroom. It's a known fact, right? The number one factor, the thing we can most influence that's going to have the greatest impact on our students is that teacher. And by extension, support staff and the specialists and all the other people that work with these kids every day. And I know that teachers oftentimes, they do not feel supported. It's a tough job. It's often thankless. I know that we all feel a sense of pride from our students when they thank us and we see how valuable school is to them and how much they miss school when they didn't have school, despite what they tell us. They miss school. They love school. And the primary reason that is their teachers and their support staff. So what do we have to do about that as board members and administrators? It's not rocket science. It's basic things. It's listening to each other. It's keeping dialogue going. It's being respectful to each other, hearing each other. And what do board members need to do with that information? We have to take action. That's what we're here for. So when we hear our teachers speak, just like when we hear our parents speak, we have to take that feedback, process it, and decide what the best thing to do. Again, I know I talk in circles, but it's all about student achievement. So what's best for our kids? We have to take all of that into consideration and do what's best for our kids. And oftentimes, the best thing for our kids is supporting our teachers and supporting our staff in every way that we can.
I think first and foremost, teachers need to be reassured every day, if possible, that they are the greatest assets to our schools. They need to be supported by the parents and the administration they serve. Parents need to do their jobs on a daily basis to have the students prepared to learn. The teachers need to provide a nurturing but yet stern classroom environment free of distractions and to give the students the best opportunity to succeed. They need to be financially compensated. I know that's hard to hear sometimes, but they do need to be financially compensated in a way that we can retain them and we can attract the best of the best to our district. We need to keep the teachers we have and add the best, like I said. The teachers need to be given the tools they need to attend to the needs of all students who learn at different speeds and different levels. Too often we find ourselves relying on test scores instead of relying on instincts of the teachers and listening to the teachers. These are trained professionals. We need to allow them to do their job to the best of their abilities. Some kids are just bad test takers and they fall behind. Good, instinctive teachers will recognize this and help them through this. We need to reduce classroom sizes so the teachers aren't so overwhelmed in the classrooms. With 30 kids and one teacher, it's going to be a lot difficult to teach our kids and make them successful. So prepare our children to move on to the next level, next grade, whatever it may be. The teachers shouldn't worry so much about preparing them for life. Leave that to the parents, and let's get the kids to their next level, whether that's high school or the next grade level. Continue to communicate with parents, talk with them, go the extra mile for each other. I'm going to leave you with a story that I experienced last year in 4th grade. My son, Joey, was having a real hard time going to school because of COVID and returning. His gym teacher, Mr. T, recognized the fact that he loved baseball. Mr. T played catch with him every morning before school. So he would go to class and walked into school every morning, walked into his classroom. That's the kind of teachers we need in our district. So with that being said, working together with the teachers, working together with the district, and having the best possible district we can, hopefully we can all look back at our kids,
Thank you,
raise good
Larry.
kids, and we can all look back and say,
Elizabeth,
well,
you
we're
can
a part
go
of that. Thank you.
The board's role in supporting teachers to ensure students are future ready is to set a vision, establish goals, develop policy, make resources available, and monitor accountability. This has been a focus of our strategic plan. Homer has worked for years developing programs for students to become future ready even before the term became popular. We're always trying to get our kids for the future so that they are prepared for their future. Computers were introduced in the 90s. At that time, we taught students basic word processing, PowerPoint, and how to use spreadsheets. Since then, our middle school and junior high students have advanced to coding and 3D printing in our STEM lab. Now it may be time to learn how to use AI, artificial intelligence, in productive ways. The board can ensure that the needed technological infrastructure is in place. In a science lab, a student uses a computer program and probes to collect data and use their critical thinking skills to interpret that data and come to a conclusion. NGSS science standards require students to participate in engineering tasks such as designing models. Professional development has assisted teachers in this goal. Another way to support teachers is allocating collaboration time to share their ideas and expertise. Ideas are shared not only between teachers in a school, but using professional online resources as well. Teachers are leading the way to prepare students for the inevitable advances the future will hold. Our teachers understand that students need skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and communication skills in order to succeed in our changing world. Those skills will help them adapt to future technological advances and will help ensure students are future ready. Our board and administration will continue to support teachers
Thank you,
in reaching
Elizabeth.
that goal.
I'm answering this one as my teacher hat. What are we doing, especially for 33C, for teacher morale? What are we doing for them? How are we helping them? With these grade center changes, teachers have to now move schools, the school that they were at for many, many years, where they now have to teach a new grade and learn different curriculum. So what are we doing for teachers in their morale to help them with the transition for next year? All right. Teachers are often given an agenda delegated by district office that cover state initiatives. Now that they're moving to these to the grade centers, I really hope they're given enough time to collaborate with each other's peers to build curriculum. I hope they're not used for lunchroom duty or recess duty or bus duty, and that they're actually given time. Now that you have all the teachers in the grades together, give them time to build the curriculum, meet, and then have curriculum good for our kids. The second point to that, the beauty of the old school was that it was cross talk between first, second, third, and fourth grade. The teachers were able to talk to each other. Now, one kid's in one school for 2 years, another school for 2 years. Please allow time for teachers to talk in between schools. I really feel that transition needs to be seamless when you're going from one school to the next. We never had to worry about that before when it was 1 to 4. Now that kids are moving from school to school, I really hope that they are given the time to meet not only as grade levels, but between schools so that the transition, like I said, is seamless between the schools. Thank you.
In order to be future ready, we have to attain educational equity. As the community changes, our district and stakeholders monitor changes needed for such equity. We have phenomenal teachers and support staff that continue to best meet the needs of our students. With the implementation of Clarity for Learning, which is research-based to be able to double learning rates, we can support educational equity. Through communication and transparency, we can continue to monitor and support our teachers. We have and will continue to assist our teachers with student-centered coaches to provide support in the classroom. As a board member, I hear the teachers and support their needs and concerns for upcoming initiatives. Teams are in place to have important conversations at many levels, including SLT and DLT. This is where important collaboration can happen across the district. It is important to listen to all shareholders before decisions are being made in order to be informed and before making a decision for our district.
I want to give kudos to our teachers. They're the best. They work hard, they listen to their students, they have FaceTime with them, they teach the curriculum, and they make it a point of preparing them to be future ready for whatever career they might choose to choose, or road to take down or go down. This really hits home to me because from the businesses or positions that I've had after formal education, I was part of the first team that brought 3D printing to the marketplace here in Illinois. I wouldn't have had that skill if I didn't have the social and emotional skills and critical math skills that were taught to me early on through the public school system. It's incredible. I worked with the inventor of 3D printing. I was one of the first guys to engage here in Illinois. My second endeavor was I worked with Dr. Bill Mizell. He was the father of voice recognition. We brought that technology as a product to the FAA, and that was one of the first products that they used to train air traffic controllers, and this was in the late 80s. Dr. Bill Mizell is well regarded as the father of voice recognition. The third note is when I was selling CAD/CAM,
Thank you very much, David. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Thank you, candidates, for your well-prepared and well-presented answers to those questions. Next, we're going to move on to the questions we collected from the audience. We were given some questions about the financial status of the district, and we'd like to ask you to please see the 33C district website and the Board of Education meetings for the information on this. Some of the questions were reworded to reflect multiple people's questions that were about the same topic. We also received some questions that are for select people, but not for all of the candidates on the panel. And we will give those questions to the candidates, and you can go ahead and meet up with them and get your answers. Okay, so these questions that I'm going to ask, anybody can step and answer them. You can all answer them or skip over them. And you have 1 minute to answer each question. Do you feel we need to continue focusing on COVID-related concerns or move forward?
I'll start with that. The pandemic has been difficult for everyone. I have 2 grandchildren that were personally affected also. It was challenging. We had to deal with understaffing, or are we going to have enough bus drivers? Are there legal issues? We have, our insurance carrier, if something's not mandated, are we going to be covered? So there are a lot of issues. I think we need to move on. I really do.
I definitely think we need to move on and learn from the mistakes that we made.
think we need to keep in mind those items that are affecting students to this day. Yes, we need to move forward. I think I'm told May 11th, the pandemic is over. So make sure we're still improving student learning. If we have any gaps, we need to make sure we're monitoring that and meeting the needs of those students that had maybe excessive gaps during that time. Make sure we are continuing with our social emotional learning initiative. And yes, move on.
There's no doubt we need to move on. You know, it's amazing what our teachers were to accomplish during that time frame. Just think about it. Here they're thrown into this totally different world to teach students remotely. They got to change their whole way of doing business. That's not an easy thing to do. But now that it's behind us, let's just put it behind us. They did a phenomenal job. I give kudos to them, but COVID is over as far as I'm concerned, and I want the kids to be able to go forward with their lives so they can flourish going forward.
Yeah, I'm not going to restate what's been said, but yes, absolutely, we need to move past it. It would be a mistake not to learn, from COVID. There were a lot of lessons for us to learn. So I think it would be a mistake for us to not reflect on how we managed it, whatever, if something like this were to happen again, what could we do better? And certainly, more importantly and more immediately, just looking at where our kids are now and what they missed, and where they're at socially and emotionally too. It was difficult on adults, it was really difficult on children. So I think we need to move past it, but learn from it.
So I will echo what everybody else said. We do need to move on, but we also need to learn from this. There will be something else that comes up in the future, and there will be something else that will challenge the board. And it may not be COVID, it may not be another pandemic, but it's going to be something else. We can't allow that to happen. We can't allow our children to lose another year of school because of a disease that was proven very early on wasn't affecting children too much. The district, I believe, did their best they could with the mandates and whatnot, but we need to learn from this. We do need to move on, but again, like I said, we can't allow this to happen again. Thanks.
Next question. If the district needs a tax levy to support educational funding, would you support that?
If we need a tax levy, a tax levy is an annual process, right? So that's not avoidable. What is the decision factor is what amount of money you're going to levy for. So I appreciate this question. I know, let's just call this one out. I know this has been a topic of discussion. I know it concerns a lot of people. We're all taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a homeowner. My family has multiple properties in Homer Glen, so we have multiple taxpayers. So we get it. I get it, and I also understand there are people who no longer have children in the schools. And, that stinks when you have to pay your taxes. However, we have a responsibility to educate these kids, and we have a responsibility to give them everything that we can. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's free. It's not. I wish it was. I wish money was not a concern. It is. We have to try to spend that money as responsibly as possible. Absolutely. As transparently as possible. Absolutely. Does that mean we will not need to continue to tax the community? Yeah. No, I think there's a reality we have to face. We've talked about a lot of great things tonight, and everybody
Thank you,
supported.
Chris. Your minute is up.
Sure, thank you.
Anyone else for that one?
I will say this much. It's not necessarily the tax levy itself. We know there's going to be a tax levy. We know the amount that there's going to be a tax levy. It's just the fact of the matter is how much we're going to tax our community or how much we're going to register a levy towards them. I think the board should do a little bit of a better job explaining to people what exactly a tax levy is, what exactly they need that money for, how the tax levy works, and why we're asking for all this money. We all understand inflation. We all understand there's new communities being built up in the community, new subdivisions, new children coming to our schools. We understand the district's going to need more money. That money's going to be spread around. So we'll ask for a certain amount of money, and if we get that money, obviously we've got to project for the future. We all understand that, but I think it just needs to be a little bit more clear to the residents why there was such a high number on the tax levy. Is all I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Our district operates with a balanced budget, which is really good. We're rated the highest for financial health. We have over 600 employees. We have 6 schools, a bus barn. I mean, there are expenses. And I just want to say that we take everything financially into consideration as far as where can we cut, where can we cut. Al Perkis, who is our assistant superintendent of business, he's frugal. He's frugal. I mean, I'm sorry, Al, I hope you don't mind me saying that, but he is. You know, we have found cost reductions in technology. Eric Nush, thank you very much. He saved us, I think, over $1 million in that. We're putting LED lights in. We got a COPS grant. We're looking for grants all the time. And I know it's hard. I'm retired. You know, I moved in here in 1977 before I had kids, and I paid for the kids that were going to school. And
Thank you, Elizabeth.
All right.
I've met with Al, Dr. Shapi, and the people in my school with the business aspect. And man, in the last month, I've learned a lot about what a tax levy is and how it works. So every year, there is a tax levy. The board with Al and Dr. Shapi decide how much it is. And those funds will always be used to support education. The only thing is, first thing I ask, can we think outside the box? I'm proactive with everything. Can we start meeting with village trustees and, is there a way to maybe get some businesses there to kind of help, help with the cost, help with the burden, not just on the tax base, but how do we, work together and get some businesses to help everyone, including us up here with the taxes. So, just wanted to add that.
And yes, there is a tax levy every year. And your taxes go up because your property value goes up. That's not the only reason. What we do as a district, we do always look for ways to cut down those expenditures by filing for grants. I know we have another one in the working, so it's not just the COPS grant. It's not just those smaller grants. We have a grant writer that does a great job filling out those grants and bringing them to us and getting our approval so that we can cut those expenditures. We do have a balanced budget, and what we do with what we have is quite a lot. And I don't know how you tell teachers, students that we're going to cut the budget, we're going to put them 50 in a classroom. That's not realistic. We have a balanced budget, and it is a responsible budget.
Taxes are always a sore subject to everybody, but it's something that has to be dealt with. But I'd like to take the position that the excitement about people coming to Homer Glen to have their children educated is the position I like to take. Because the first thing that people do is when they want to move to Homer Glen or buy property at Homer Glen, the first question to ask is, how are the schools? Well, if the schools are doing great, you're going to draw more people into the community. You're going to bring more taxes into the community, and you're going to hopefully draw more businesses in the community to service the increase in population. So, from that perspective, that's how I'm going to look at it. Let's grow Homer Glen through our school system, and let's spread the word how great 33C is, so we draw more people to the community.
According to the Illinois report card, test scores are going down in 33C. How will you address this?
our schools are commendable and exemplary. If you look at the IAR results of 21-22 in Will County, there's 26 school districts. Homer came in 8th out of 26 in ELA and 4th out of 26 in math. Combining ELA and math, Homer was 6th out of 26 school districts. Yes, there are some learning gaps from the pandemic. We use ESSER funds and our own funds to accelerate learning and close the gap. We expanded our MTSS staff. We expanded summer school for 2 years for our general education students. We hired 6 new interventionists in the areas of math and ELA. We hired 2 student-centered coaches for math and reading. We just approved 5 full-time academic other interventionists. Professional development for clarity of learning, salary for 26 summer school teachers.
Thank you, Elizabeth. A minute, please, guys.
I could step in and answer. I think it starts with the teachers. You've got to start attracting the best teachers to our community, retain the best teachers we have at our schools, and have the teachers work with the children. I know for a fact, both my kids, IAR week, are stressed out like you wouldn't believe, because I don't know what the schools are telling them or what they're pushing, how important these IAR tests are. But my kids stress out about these tests. I think we need to become less reliant. I understand that it's a good measure of where our kids are at, obviously academically, but I think we need to rely a little bit more on the teacher's instincts instead of test scores. Thanks.
It goes back to goal number 1, increasing the number of students demonstrating growth and improvement academically. The test that I love, just for my kids, because I love to see growth. I've got to see a starting point and an ending point. I love the math tests. All right, we really, in my house, my kids are 2 teachers and parents, so we really dissect that and look at there. So, personally, I think if we look at the individual math scores of the kids and everyone's achieving their goals, I think in turn the IAR scores will improve. If we start trying to improve here, here, and here, we don't really have a plan in place. All right, like I said before, let's accomplish goal 1. All right, and I think in turn the IRA scores will improve.
I don't know what the IRA scores prior to the pandemic. So were they really good or were they bad, or I don't know what they were. But having said that, the teachers did a phenomenal job in the pandemic environment. And if you're teaching to the test, are you really teaching? So when you're in the classroom, I'm going to rely on the flexibility of the teacher to teach, but you've got to give them a lot of leeway, because those IRA scores, it might not be that realistic based on the position that they were presented in for the last 2 years. I want to give them some time, increase support to all their needs, and see what happens going forward.
This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a lot of things that have to go into supporting our kids, and we all want to see those scores go up. And our kids overall do really well. We do a lot of longitudinal analysis with the kids from a young age. We try to look at their data all the way through high school, and our kids tend to perform really well, and that's something to be really proud of. But it really is not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's just a multitude of programs, and we've got a lot of things going on: instructional, coaching, interventional lists, and pullouts, and enrichment programs, and we have an advanced placement program for discovery students. There's a multitude of things. It's not one thing. But I agree. The goal of the school is not to teach to a test. Right? We want to see growth. The key word is growth. So what's right for each individual student is different. Every kid's different. Where they're at, and where they're going, what their potential is, what their motivation is. Every single kid's different. So the key word is we want to make sure each one of those individual kids are growing. That's the real goal. So.
Okay, as many have said, we have academic interventionalists with reading and math. We have student-centered coaches that are helping with the curriculum in the classroom. I do believe SEL will play a factor in that, as well as we have recently been seeing students exiting from MTSS programs, which is showing that we are moving forward with that academic success.
Thank you. The next question is also about IAR testing, and I think we've covered that, but I'll ask it anyways, and if anybody has anything to add. What is the goal to close the IAR achievement gap versus the best districts in our area? Anybody else have anything else to add?
Can you say that again?
What is the goal to close the IAR achievement gap versus the best districts in our area?
We are one of the best districts in our area. Having said that, you know, we would be foolish not to look at benchmarks, right? We don't use the state as a benchmark. We better out-achieve the state, and we always do. But you know, I mean, we have partnerships with a lot of the districts around us, and it's really, the idea is to share information, right? If someone figures out the secret sauce, we want to share that. We want our teachers to share that in our own districts, and we certainly want to collaborate with other districts. If they've thought of something we haven't, great. If we've thought of something they haven't, great. You know, I don't think there's a one thing we can do, but certainly keeping those lines of communication open has proved to be valuable, and I'm sure will continue to be valuable.
An example of that is that the Eureka Math program. You know, we noticed that some districts were using that, and they're very successful with that. So, you know, we adopted that for our district.
So I looked who's at the top, and I've dissected and I've talked to their curriculum director for over 2 hours to try to see what they do, and then I compared it to see what we did. And we do a lot of good things at the school, you know, but I wanted to see, 157 on top. So the one thing, you know, the one difference with them and us that I liked was the amount of electives that they're able to take at such a young age. I mean, they're starting Spanish in 3rd grade. They do a rotation with music, art, STEM, and library from K to 2. I just think starting those electives at such a young age makes you so well-rounded. You know, I'm just trying, as a science teacher, I'm just trying to see, you know, why they're, because I don't think we're close with the numbers. Just saying, hey, what did they do different than we do? That was the one difference that I saw. But in terms of the math and the programs that we use, the reading program, I mean, my wife talks to me because she's a 3rd grade teacher. She's like, all the programs they use are awesome, like reading, you know.
Thank you, Nick.
I know whenever we start a new initiative or when we're going to move to some other curriculum, we do collaborate with other districts. We do go and do studies with other districts, so-called learning walks, so that we can see in real time what's going on in other districts when there's an initiative that we think maybe we could improve on, and they've proven that they're very successful in that area.
Thank you. We're coming up on our 90 minutes that we originally had anticipated being here. Does the panel want to stay for another question or two, or do we want to wrap it up? We do have a few more questions that were presented to us. We will go ahead and send them to all of you in an email, and you can choose to respond to those on social media or in other ways as well, so you can know what the constituents were asking. We can go with like one more question, maybe? Yeah? Okay. All right. Do you feel woke ideology impacts our classrooms? If so, explain how you feel it is impacting our classrooms.
Surprised that question did not come up. And it's a good question. I understand. I mean, I'm a parent too. You know, and the material and the content that my child's exposed to is, of course, a concern to me. let me start by saying, I think we have some excellent teachers. We've established that fact, and hopefully everybody agrees with that. We also have some excellent administrators, and I think we have to give them their due credit. You know, they keep a watchful eye on the curriculum and what they deliver, and that's the first layer of defense, right? The second thing is the partnership between parents, community, school. It's important, and that's the best way to deal with difficult topics. Information is out there, kids are smart, they have Google. We can't shield them from information. The best thing we can do is keep school focused on school, let parents be parents, and everything in between, that's a conversation that has to happen between parents and the school. It really is not a one-way street. There are things that are home conversations that parents need to have with kids. There are things that are, you know, school conversations and are best taught by teachers. So I think we have to continue to foster that partnership, really, to deal with those kind of topics.
I think when we talk woke ideology, I think that's going to mean something different to each and every person. What woke ideology actually means. I think if our teachers just stick to teaching the subjects that they're teaching, math, social studies, history, I don't think woke ideology is going to play a part in anything that's influenced our children. If they stick to, basically, I hate to say it, but stay in their lane and don't sway from that, the woke ideologies that we interpret shouldn't play a part in the education system. So that's all I say.
I got to ditto you on that, Larry. There is no reason to bring that dialogue into the classroom. The teachers are to teach the curriculum. The dialogue about woke should be left up to the parents. End of story. Period.
I guess I'm showing my age where I'm not understanding the terminology woke ideology, I think. But I think what it means is that there are certain topics, if I'm not mistaken, that should be, let's take, I'll say it, sex education, right? I think that's a concern. Is that would be woke ideology, right? I just want to say that I believe that sex education, as right now requested by, or as in legislation with the governor, is not appropriate for our children. I think that parents should have that conversation with their children about sensitive topics, and sex education is one of them. I hope I answered that question correctly for woke ideology.
Do you feel woke ideology impacts our classrooms? If so, explain how you feel it is impacting them.
Because public schools are subsidized by local, state, and government policies, I mean, there are some things that you just can't get around, you know, but as far as the curriculum goes, there's nothing that I've seen. And let's be honest, teachers have enough to teach science, math, reading. They've got enough, right, to add some more, but there are some things that, you know, that government policies dictate that that are out of our control. Like, you know, to reiterate, let teachers do what they would do best in the classroom, teach the core topics.
In our district, our administrators do approve a curriculum that is appropriate. In any case, as a parent, you have a right to view that curriculum and be able to hold your student out of that curriculum. I think some of the topics that we're including in this, maybe sex education, to the extent that I don't think teachers want to teach it. So, you know, it's not part of our curriculum. But, I mean, you should be aware of what your child's education is, inform yourself, and if there's something you want to opt your child out of, be aware of what that is.
Okay, I think we're gonna end with that one. Thank you, candidates, for coming to us.